Thank you, Mark, for this opportunity to share some thoughts on this very, very important topic, I think, at the very right time, in fact. So, working from home, well, first of all, let me make sure I'm heard properly. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So, Um, let me start. I've got a little presentation here as well. As I start, let me just point out that Shipe has done a brilliant job of actually, putting everything into context. Um, so it makes my life easy. Thank you, Shipe, for an excellent presentation, wonderful tips and tricks, and how you manage the working from home and how you kept up with the challenges of the daily challenges of making sure things get done and your team is connected. That was wonderful to hear. Now, taking from hopefully where Shipe left off, maybe a little overlap, definitely a little overlap. So let me start by just highlighting this concept of work from home. Well, maybe not the concept, but um, work from home, or WFH. What is the maturity model for this? And so let's have a look at the maturity model for working from home, and so that you can ask yourself, where are you? How mature are you with respect to working from home? So ask yourself now, are you in stage one? I definitely reached stage three in the first 3 months of working from home. And luckily, before I reached stage four, I was able to come back at least part-time to my office. So even today, I am back in my office. Otherwise, I'll definitely be stage four. So I see, I see in the chat, we've got people in stage three, definitely. So this is where this is the reality, definitely. I mean, I had myself taking selfies with the long hair and the unkept beard, and even now I kind of try to keep up with stage three. So how can we make this maturity a better experience for us? As Shippe quite rightly pointed out, it is about the mindset. In my point of view, you've got to approach working from home as an adventure. You really don't know where you're going, and you have no experience with it, and you definitely know there's going to be challenges. But if you approach it with the right mindset, if you approach it with a mindset that you're going to find new things, both within your work and also very importantly within yourself, new capabilities, new ideas that will help you build your own career, your own life, perhaps connect with your family, perhaps connect with a part of yourself that you have ignored, because we tend to often concentrate on the outside of of our selves and what we can see, rather than this Shippe quite rightly pointed out, reflection. So yes, the first thing I want to definitely say is your journey of work from home will definitely depend on the mindset that you start off with and the mindset you develop within this. And of course, at this point, I will give you a long story about how I overcame a mortal fear of heights while I was trekking in another country. But we don't have the time for that. I only have 30 minutes. So, adventure. But of course, you've got to work. And to work, you gotta have a workspace. And Shippe pointed out how he did it. But unfortunately, in Mali, my staff, most of the people in civil service, most of the people in even other employment, we don't have this luxury. Now, what you're looking at is my workstation. A windowed corner looking out into a backyard of snow and pine trees. Now, we may all not have this, definitely not in Mali. So in my case, to be honest with you, I had to share a desk with two of my children. So the first thing I did was set up a monitor and a small dock, so which can be shared between my laptop and my two children's devices, and they can come in and play. And so we had to kind of share this area. And then I'll come to the rest of what happens once you start sharing this. But one of the things you've got to avoid in setting up a workspace is to make sure your workspace should definitely not be your sleep space. Try to avoid that. Now, I had to sometimes go to my bed when there were multiple classes in session online at the same time as when I had to work. But that is what we want to avoid, and that is not a good practice. That is definitely find another corner. You may not have a workspace, but try to have a work nest, a work corner. So have the technology. I will not talk about laptops and mobile phones, and definitely lighting. Lighting is very important because lighting plays a large part of how you feel. Luckily, we are in Maldives, so if you can get some sunlight somehow, that will keep your mood up, that will keep you more positive. So number one, but what happens when you have a workspace, right, and you get into working from home? What really happens? I'm sure most of you would have seen the event poster for this event, right? If you've seen the event poster, have a look at my the photo that of me up there. You see that I don't really have a neck. Now, what happened to my neck? Actually, work from home happened to my neck. I used to have a neck, but then work from home happened, and then I took a selfie, and there was no neck. So it's extremely important to exercise. Shippe pointed to this as well. It is definitely the second most important thing I would think of is exercise. Make sure I would recommend joining the 5 o'clock club. Best time to get some sunlight, get some walking done, exercise your eyes. So look beyond the horizon. You know, see what's happening to the bridge. You know how many. Uh, this is extremely important, I think. And of course, as Shippe pointed out quite nicely, you've got to have a daily plan. If you don't have a plan, working from home can be extremely difficult adventure. And now, again, I will tell you a time when I spent 3 months, trekking around the country of 52 states. So what did I do? I bought a book about that country, and I made a plan and wrote it in handwriting. I spent a month planning in another book, and then I threw away the book I bought, I threw away the book I wrote, and then I just jumped into the adventure. And I had everything in my mind, and everything in my mind actually evolved over time. I didn't stick to my plan, but I had the knowledge required. I had the ideas, I had the targets, I knew where I wanted my pictures to be taken, I knew which monuments I want to visit, I knew which friends I wanted to visit. So I could actually take it on an adventure, because a plan is really not an adventure, but you got to have the plan to really enjoy the adventure. So what do you really plan? The first thing you plan is work-life balance. I think this is quite natural, because a lot of people told me, now you're at home, it will be easy, right? No, it's actually the opposite. This is what I felt. Maybe you have a different opinion. Please share with me in the chat, and we can discuss this. Definitely the opposite. I used to have a work life which started at 7:30 and ended at 4:30, give or take, right? Official hours 8 to 2 maybe, but my work was more 7:30 to 4:30. But that was well defined, and the rest of the time I could actually plan whatever I wanted. But now I was at home. There was no start time, there was no end time, and actually in a few days it ended up like that. And balancing work and life definitely was a challenge. So this is where the planning actually helps. And in doing so, you've got to set some ground rules, especially when you have kids and they have classes. And for the first time in your life, you see for yourself what your wife does when you are not at home. So suddenly you are seeing things that you have never seen at home, because there are certain times of the day when you're never around. You don't know what your kids get up to at that time of the day. I didn't realize that most of the day my wife was on her feet, never sitting down. Now you've got to have ground rules. You've got to start understanding each other. You've got to, you've got to even sometimes you might have to even codify ground rules. I actually wrote down a pledge with my daughter about the use of internet, because now we are having to give her her laptop and let her go into her room, because I wanted to use the living room space, right? Now I'm letting her go into a private area of the house with a laptop, with camcorders, with connectivity with the rest of the world. Now I'm having to, so we actually wrote down a list of rules that both the parents and the children will follow when using internet, and how to make sure that our privacy is protected, make sure we don't do something that we regret for the rest of our lives. So yeah, having ground rules extremely important. And then, as I talked about, we've got to have, Shipe also alluded to this quite nicely and quite eloquently, I might add, that you've got to have this, his word was routine. I would use another word. I would say you've got to have this sort of, um, process where you get ready for work, like a ritual. So you don't go into prayers and just go straight into the mosque. There are rituals that lead up to it. So you've got to have a ritual, and part of my ritual for work was dressing for work. And I always tell, I used to teach quite a lot in the past. I tell my students, if you dress down to come to college, your mind will be also dressing down in the wrong gear. It will actually gear down. If you want to gear up, dress up. You don't dress down to go to your wedding. You don't dress down to go to Friday prayers. You don't dress down to go to, a wedding or anything important, right? You dress up. So if you got to put your mind self in it, you got to dress up. So dress for work. I mean, yeah, you may not wear a tie, but you got to have, I think, a separate set of clothes, even though you are at home, right? It may not be the same that you wear when you actually attend work at your office, but have a different set of clothes. Just like you have a different set of clothes to go to bed, right? If you want really good, in my view, if you want a really good night's sleep, make sure you don't go to bed with the same clothes you are wearing the rest of the day. Wear separate set of clothes. If you want to play really well in futsal with your friends, have a kit, right? Buy the right shoes, right? So this is the idea. Dress for work, and make sure you put your notifications, right? Nowadays, I can't even watch a good movie without rewinding, because I got to check who tweeted what. And I got to check what's in the Viber group, what's in the WhatsApp group. And then I go back to the movie and I missed, a lot of little important conversations, and I got to rewind it. And this is where my daughter would find it frustrating, because, she wants to watch it without this, rewinding all the dialogue. So this is important. How do we actually reduce notifications? But really, we are talking about creating this windows of complete concentration to your work. And finally, of course, if you want to make your work from home really productive, you've got to do something creative that is not work, right? I see in the social media, a lot of people have taken to planting and this sort of urban gardens, and this is, I think, brilliant. If you ask me, I'll say learn a language. And if you ask me what language, I'll say, okay, Chinese, you could talk to 1 billion people, or maybe Python. Then you can talk to tens of billions, maybe trillions of internet connected devices. So learn something new, do something that actually challenges you, and that is not work, right? So this is kind of, I think, that sets the idea, the mood and the place, and making sure that work from home is not normal. I can tell you that. And although we call it the new normal, I surely don't hope it becomes normal. And there are increasingly, I think, or at least a few industry leaders who are definitely saying, no, no, this shouldn't become forever, right? I mean, there are certain kind of works that leads naturally to working from home, but this is not for everybody, and this is definitely not for all the industries. So but let me change gear now. Let me change gear and actually talk about some technology. Technology can help, right? So, but uh, I put this as a second part of my presentation because I think technology can only help if you are already ready to accept that help, and if you're already, even without technology, going to make a success of it. Then with technology you can really achieve, and you can really outdo yourself. This is what I think. And to start off, let me introduce you two apps that you might want to explore. Maybe you're already using it. One is called Clockify, right? Now, increasingly, you may have already heard this term of a gig economy, right? I've known a few people who have been in the gig economy for many, many years before, even before this, internet revolution. So in the Maldives, we have a few, at least two different kinds of professions that naturally leads to this. Who are the, people who play music in these resorts? So I'm sure Shipley knows these guys. They're kind of in the gig economy where they play a gig here, they play a gig there. They're not really employed. But also we have photographers, videographers, who are taking their drones and their cameras and doing this sort of work. So there are already people even without the internet platforms working on this. And of course we have even lawyers who don't who bill by the hour, by the task, and by the hour. So if you use something like Clockify, you can definitely keep a track of your projects, and for each project you can define the tasks. And when you sit down to work, you click on the task and you click start. And then when you switch tasks, you stop the task and you start the other task. At the end of the day, at the end of the month, you can produce, or your supervisors can see a record of how many hours you're putting in monthly, weekly, daily, depending on the policies at your workplace. I mean, a lot of our employees, especially at the NCIT, are providing a service rather than fully employed. So this is the kind of app that they could actually, even now they create a timesheet at the end of the month, which is submitted and they get paid. So this definitely, Clockify is a wonderful application for this. Clockit goes beyond that. Right, Clockit goes beyond that. It can be actually, if you start with the free version, you've got attendance capabilities on your phone. You can kind of geofence, and you can say, okay, now Shareef can take attendance from his first wife's house, second wife's house, mistress' house, and maybe Lonziarek. So you can kind of geofence places where your staff can start clock in, clock out, and then you can then at the end go all the way up to creating or automating the whole payroll process using Clock-in and Clockit. And both of these have very good integration with collaborative platforms like Trello, Asana, or in our case, now we're using the planner. I started with Trello when I first started working at the ministry. We got this Kanban board set up, and if you understand Kanban, and if you understand buckets and tasks and assigning and collaborative task, working with tasks on a task board, you'll be able to really develop boards that are very customized to your organizations. And there are many templates out there. There are free versions of all of these. Currently, we are using Planner mainly because we've actually moved on from Trello to a more comprehensive platform that has other things. I have done a little bit of Asana and Basecamp as well, which is in the similar area that you might want to have a look at. Definitely, if you are new, I would suggest starting with the with Trello. Trello, even you can even use it for your own personal. So you want to plan your wedding, you want to plan your next holiday, and the free versions allow for this, and it can be a very good habit builder as well. And of course, Slack and Zoom. This combination is dynamic, and it's extremely. It is the world leader today. We are already here, Zoom, connecting with so many of you, and we love it. And Slack, I have worked with an international team for a short period of time using Slack, and I loved it. You can create these channels in Slack, and a lot of other things like Clockify and Clockit integrate into Slack. Even Zoom can be integrated into it so that you can actually clock in, clock out, keep track of your tasks and how long you're working on it, whether you finish it with Slack as well. At the moment, we are using Microsoft Teams because Microsoft Teams brings kind of Slack-like capabilities as well as Zoom-like capabilities, and is very fast catching up with this Slack and Zoom as the leaders in the industry now. And because there's a whole host of ecosystem around Microsoft for those kind of reasons, we are kind of trialing Teams. And of course, Microsoft Teams is now free. So even if you have, I'm actually planning to set it up for my family as well, because it's free. The free version, you can even set it up for your friends, and you can have just like Viber, but with a more work kind of, and you have you can integrate other applications, and your files sharing and all of these things are better managed than social media chat engines in this. So this is, so as Shippe pointed out, communication, communication, communication. This is the key. Especially when you don't meet your staff face to face, when you cannot just have a quick chat, when you can't meet eye to eye, communication, communication, communication. I think that Shippe was very right there. Thank you, Shippe, for bringing these things up. And you need a collaborative platform. Slack is not the only one. Zoom is not the only one. Teams is not the only one. There are others. There are even open source ones. And each of these ones that I'm showing you here also have free versions that you can use, but I highly recommend it. Of course, when you collaborate, you've got to have your office everywhere. And for me, for the last 5-6 years, I've been practicing this because I've been lucky enough to be a fairly mobile worker, so I had to present from my phone. I had to even work from my home. So I've been using OneDrive for a long time, and then so that I could actually synchronize across my devices, these three devices. So it's very easy for me to do a presentation from my phone on an instant, just connect to any, and so I do carry a few adapters in my small laptop bag that I carry around. But we have Google Drive as well, and there are other cloud file storage and sync apps as well, like Dropbox, etc. So these are definitely something that you've got to have, because your office, as far as the information is actually it cannot be tied to one place, and so you got to be able to take it wherever you are. And finally, you've got to be able to have a to-do list. And I think again, Shippe, I think he wrote by hand. I am not a writing by hand person, so I would say Todoist is definitely today's leader. Maybe you disagree, but at Office, again, we use Microsoft To Do, and Google has Google Tasks. So if you are kind of on the Google platform and you're using Gmail, right on your left pane, you will see Google Tasks from your email. When you receive an email, you can straight send it as a task, and then you can keep track of your tasks. So it's important, though you may have these work related tasks, and then you may get these other tasks from home and from others that come from your social media platforms, collaboration or communication platforms, Viber, WhatsApp, etc. So it's good to kind of have this sort of to-do to-do list, but on your phone, on your desktop, wherever you go, you can log in and have a look at what your shopping list was. And as you go around the shopping center, also you can just open your phone and see what you're looking for. And then finally, I think Shippe alluded to this at the end. How do you keep your staff engaged? I have not tried 15.5. But I have found this as part of this presentation. I was looking for an app before this. No, so I'm hoping that next week will be my learning for this product 15.5. I would like you to also have a look at it and see if you can use this. But you've got to use a technology now. 15.5. The reviews are brilliant. I have had a look at it. There is a free version as well available for smaller teams. So this would, I think, be critical now, because we are losing. I have not seen my senior staff for days and days, face to face. And then I see, and even when we are actually online with Teams and talking, most of the time the windows are tiny and you don't see you don't really see it in high definition as you would like to see. So the messages, you understand 99 or 95 or 90% of messaging is body language, and we are losing a lot of that. So using a tool as an online tool to gauge employee engagement is important. But this tool 15.5 goes beyond just employee engagement measurement. It actually can be used to plan and increase employee engagement, help individual employees make goals, keep targets. So this is something I'm very happy to have found during this process of preparing these slides. Of course, another finally, yeah, almost at the end now. So the last two slides, these are two apps that I would highly recommend to you. I have used Forest. I use them. I use it quite often. So Forest is an app that helps you grow virtual forests. So why do you need it? When you actually start growing, when you start growing a plant in your forest, your phone goes into deep sleep. So if you open it, the phone will tell you no, put it down. So this actually helps you stay focused. So this is kind of time you carve out from the rest of the social media notifications. So that I usually put it on 30-minute increments. So I work for 30 minutes. My justification is any message, any email from work, from friends, from Facebook can wait 30 minutes, right? So you don't have to be synchronous, although you can work synchronously nowadays if you have the capability. But you can work asynchronous in 30 minutes or so that in that 30 minutes I work, and there is nothing pinging, nothing that will take my concentration away. Stay focused. So Forest is for your phone app. So phone. So it keeps your phone away from you while you work. Stay focused is a Chrome extension that you can use on the Chrome browser. I am using it actually on Microsoft Edge, which is also Chromium based now. So a lot of people actually keep the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all this open in tabs, and you're doing something, and then with the with your left eye you're kind of glancing over what's happening out there. Stay focused can actually help you block those. You can say, okay, today I want to block Facebook except for this time, and then your computer will not allow you to use Facebook. You can actually customize how much you want to be distracted. You can say this, from this time to this time is my work time, and so only I'm allowed 10 minutes during the work day, right? And the rest of the time is my free time, no limitation. So you can customize your browsers, especially if you use Chrome. A lot of my friends do, and more elderly people like me, we still, like to take browsers like, that come from the big companies. So either way, try stay focused. It even have what's called a nuclear option. If you are somebody who cannot keep away from social media, and if it is really impacting your productivity, go nuclear. No more social media for you during your work hours. So this is actually a brilliant app. I have it. I have it installed, but I don't use it. I can tell you that much, because actually for me, my poison is not my computer. My poison is my mobile phone. Yeah, so I use Forests instead. And finally, I want to tell you this, I think, can be the secret to having brilliant WFH experience, uh, getting into good habits. So Habitbull, I would recommend try today, download it if you're not already using it. This is actually on my list for next week as well. This is new to me. I have kind of I researched apps that can help me break these bad habits that actually led to the loss of my neck. So I'm hoping you can see some neck growing back now. I think I was very happy when Shipe when I messed him for the first time the other night. He asked me, "Oh, you look different from the picture," and I was happy. That actually is progress. That is progress. Work from home cannot keep my neck forever. And with that I end my presentation. I am open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Shareef. It was very insightful. Thank you.